Hey guys, I'm Comet today and Watcher of Realms. Welcome to the video, guys. Glad to have you all here. Here we are, the first month of 2024. I figured it is long past due that we update our, not really tier list, but our rankings. The top legendaries. You pull a good legendary hero, you pull a legendary hero to begin with. You want to know, are they one of the best in the game? Now, part of this game, part of the enjoyment, truthfully for me at least, is finding those unsung heroes. So expect maybe an underrated legendary video coming out soon. And tomorrow we'll have the top 20 epics in the game. A lot has changed since we started doing videos like this because so many new heroes have been introduced to the game. Let's just jump into it here. By the way, no heat in my house. My furnace went down, so I'm sorry. I feel like I've been super bundled up like every video, and I lost my beanie too, man.
I got you covered, boss.
I'm so cold. Anyway, guys, here we are. Let's jump into it. I want to start with some newbies. Why not, guys? I was gonna do this in order, and yeah, there are some like most wanted, like a Borus and a Vierna, and you know, but it really does depend on the class, right? Because there's so many S tier or elites in every single class. Suffice it to say, all of the heroes in today's video I consider like S plus, every single one of them. So I actually want to start with the Supreme Arbiters though, and I want to start with Pratus. Dude, first of all, Supreme Arbiters, they're a bit expensive, right? But they are worth it. This is a cost 25 mage. His talent is when eliminating an enemy or casting an ultimate, increases damage, including true damage by 10% and max HP by 10% permanently, stacking up to 5 times. He's a late game tag. When they have the late game tag, I don't know, it could mean like amazing or it could mean underwhelming. Like, doesn't Calypso have a late game tag? Even though I don't want to take shots, she's not trash. But anyway, he looks amazing, dude. He's got anybody play raid out there. He's got a little bit of Archbishop Pinthroy in him, I feel like. Anyway, he's all about the true damage, guys. He's got a basic single target damage on his Divine Truth. He's inflicting 3 stacks of Radiant Erosion, okay? Radiant Erosion for 10 seconds deals true damage based on defense of the inflicted target every 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. And then we have Chain of Fate. When a linked unit receives damage, the other linked units receive true damage equal to 50% of the inflicted damage. Really, and the Radiant Erosion also kind of spreads. Dude, the Divine Truth Ultimate is insane. I don't have him, but I've seen him. I've seen video of this dude. Oh my word. He's summoning on his Eternal Decree, the Light of Judgment. For each basic attack launched by the hero, Light of Judgment also deals 30% damage to the target, 5 instances at a time. He's got reduced arena costs, and during the ultimate basic attack deals 40% extra damage based on this hero's attack. Light of Judgment deals 20% extra true damage based on the hero's attack. Man, I want this dude so much. He absolutely destroys with all that true damage, plus, you know, factor in the talent as well. Ooh, I want that guy. Speaking of people that I want, I'm so greedy here to start off the year. Shame, 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 Ash. I know your name. Plagios.
I hope they spell my name right in the papers.
He's a marksman. He looks kind of like, I got a little bit of King Triton vibes from this dude, right? A little mermaid for you guys, right? Anyway, I like the aesthetic on that. I really love all of the Supreme Arbiter aesthetics. He looks amazing, right? He looks amazing. But again, he is costly. And again, he is a true damage marksman now. Summons Tides every 12 seconds, dealing 200% true damage to targets in range with a 30% chance to inflict 1 stack of Radiant Erosion. You guys already know what that is. Both of these dudes here, I don't need to read the entire kits. Of course, you can read them in game. It's like 5s on 5s on 5s, rightfully so, inside the player ratings on these guys. They're absolutely game changers. You can absolutely make the case that they're a massive power creep to the game, some of these Supreme Arbiters. So yeah, those are my 2 most wanted, and those are 2 that definitely make the list. Alistair is not on the list, but he's pretty dang good too. He's pretty dang good too. Let's move it on here, guys. And again, I mean, there's going to be so many great heroes that we don't mention in today's video. Constance being one of them. She's amazing as well. All right, but let's keep it going here, guys, and go to Leia. Leia is still widely considered to be one of the best like healer buffers in the game, specifically rage regen. And did I mention she's a lord? So she's the lord here in the Watchers, and she's just incredible. Great rage regen. To me, like a step even above like a Hollow, who will definitely make tomorrow's video, and an Elowen in terms of that rage regeneration. Every 3 basic attacks increase increases the next basic attack healing by 50%. So again, a competent healer. She has attack-based healing on her basic attack. And then she restores 10% rage for all allies in range immediately. Afterwards, she restores 1% rage for them every 2 seconds, lasting for 10 seconds. Obviously, you can get that ultimate up as well. But she also has a damage increase, damage plus 10%. And that's when the ultimate is triggered. All allies in range. And then it further increases their damage. So talk about buffs, right? We're getting heals, we're getting rage regen, we're getting a massive damage buff as well. That's really powerful, absolute game changer. When allies in range release their ultimates, she heals them with 150% healing multiplier. No big deal. So extra heals. Yeah, she's amazing. I don't have her either, but just one of the best, if not the best, especially with the Lord, right? Skill healers and supporters and buffers inside the entire game. All right, next up, I'm seeing all these honorable mentions in front of my face right now. So many good. I love Brooke here. I actually really like Falsey. I'm not sure if she would make the list. I love King of Hars. I really love Valkyra, but who did make the list? You guys know it's Ardia, man. Ardia, let's start out with, you know, we cannot talk about Ardia without talking about her freaking base stats. By far and away, the highest attack in the game, almost 8,000. That's thousands higher than most of the second bests, you know, in the game. It's insane. It allows us to scale just obscene damage. She's got this long attack range. She does damage herself. She's a chaotic and a northerner, but she's an absolute just monster when it comes to damage. Multi-target attack as well. When performing the basic attack, 25% chance this hero will throw forward one circular blade instead, while restoring 10 rage. That would suck if it was instead of rage regen. The blade returns upon reaching the maximum distance, and it does AoE damage by 240%. She's just a damage. She targets 7 targets on her basic. She's just an AoE monster. Talking gear raid 1, we're talking artifact material raid, we're talking gear raid. I mean, she can be used basically everywhere and anywhere. She's amazing. Gear raid 2, void rift, you name it, right? She just does a ton of damage. As I said, she's chaotic, so she's damaging herself as well. So even though she has a 2 block for a fighter, she's not going to be tanking for you unless you got a lot of healing and shielding, a nice vortex there to support her. But she's just one of the best DPS for fighters inside the entire game. I've made my point. Let's move it on here. Shout out to Torador, we love you. Hatsuit does, of course, make the list. Hatsuit is really still one of the most powerful marksmen inside the game. The burst damage that you can get from her ultimate is Ghastly Burst, is really still up there with second to none territory for a marksman in terms of burst damage, you know. I guess in a different way, maybe a Cetrum, you know, in terms of having that massive burst. And you can utilize this anywhere in the game. Hatsu can be used in Void Rift, in Gear Raid, she can be used in just anywhere. In the arena, she's insane, right? Just one of the best damages. When you summon in Hatsuit, you really do change your account. You really do. I mean, you just have this offensive tool that is so freaking good. You know, I can read you the entire kit, but all you need to know is she gets invisibility, which makes her great for Gear Raid 3. She does an insane amount of damage, especially with her ultimate, but even without her ultimate, she's very cheap, like most marksmen, a 12 cost, and she has a new skin. Let's show it off. How do you guys feel about getting the stat bonuses on the skins? I'm kind of torn. I like skins just to be aesthetic, honestly. Although it's pretty negligible, to be fair, the stat bonuses. It's 0.07% on the attack bonus. So I guess I'm kind of okay with it, even though normally I'm not a fan. You know who else makes the list? Abomination. He's a permanent fusion inside the game. You guys already know that, right? He's also tagged late game, multi-target attack. He can dish out some damage, but most importantly, to me at least, he has invulnerability. HP will not decrease when damage is taken. He can actually tank a bit. He's got, especially in the early and the mid game, but even in some situations in the late game, excuse me, he's a formidable damage dealer and a formidable tank. In the arena, he's amazing as well. And kind of like we spoke about with Ardia, this dude, although his attack is nowhere near Ardia's, it's still high at 5,800, and his HP is higher than most every defender in the game. So he's definitely a tanky and competent and lethal fighter to have on your squad. Nightmare as well, so he fits in with a lot of like Wrath teams and stuff like that, who we'll be talking about in tomorrow's list. All right, next on the list, guys, is going to be Valeria. Valeria has to be on the list. You know, I left a lot of really good fighters off the list, obviously. I can't have everybody on a 20 hero list, but Valeria's damage is really absolutely next level. It truly is. She's a very, very special fighter, and it took a while for me to kind of come around to Valeria just being like an amazing DPS, but every time I tried to sub in a different value over replacement for her on my teams, she outdamaged everybody except for Ardia, frankly, on my whole squad. And in some situations, she might be even advantageous. The cool thing about her is, yeah, her damage is great, her blood infusion is fantastic, but she's got a lot of kind of self-sustainability for a chaotic hero that, you know, is your HP is low a lot, right? But the good news is she's got unyielding, which is unkillable. So she has unyielding, which can really help keep her alive, as well as she restores 2% HP per second when HP is below 30%. So she does have some mechanics to mitigate some of that HP loss that is obviously active in her kit. But talk about burst damage out of that ult. Talk about just damage in general. She's got it. She doesn't have that satisfying range that an Ardia or, I don't know, an Arrogance has, but she still deserves to be on the list. Speaking of Arrogance, yeah, he's also on the list. It goes to show you how powerful Nightmare is. Arrogance is a really, really capable fighter. I love him in kind of one of the corners in Artifact Material Raid. He's really one of the best, if not the best, to me in that position. He does so much damage, and he has burning as his talent, like 20% magic damage per second. It lasts for 7 seconds on the talent. Very, very, very powerful. And again, he's not the same sort of damage that we're looking at in most situations compared to an Ardia or a Valeria even, but for what he makes up for, or excuse me, what he lacks in damage in some situations, right? If they're susceptible to bleed or whatever, he's going to be great for you. He makes up for that. He can target air too, and he has that great range, not only going forward like a Valkyra or like an Ardia, but also to the sides. He has a very, very uniquely large range, attack range for a fighter, which makes him even more competent. So attacking air, doing a lot of damage, inflicting burning, and having that range, all you put it together, and he's just an amazing fighter inside the game. All right, next up, you know what, originally I had Volca on my list just because of how widely used she is without even having to use her, but I decided, you know, I want to talk, I don't know, I could have included her, but I have to take somebody beast mode off the list, right? That's the only problem. All right, next up, guys, is going to be, of course, Vierna. Vierna is one of the strongest mage. I would put her top 3 strongest mage in the game. You could absolutely make the argument she is #1. First of all, on her basic attack, no speed bonus, just does damage to an enemy. So you're not blown away, you know, just out the gate, but she has this talent. Each attack applies Mortal Kiss on the target. Mortal Kiss is AoE damage, 20% of the caster's attack to the effector, the effect bearer, and the surrounding enemies every second. So essentially, it's kind of like an AoE, right? But then you come to the Reaper's Grasp, and this is where things get really crazy with Vierna. Not only that insane amount of damage, right, which we can get up to 900% AoE damage with skilled up, but also we have this execution ability, which is absolutely insane. And we can get it up to 35% when skilled up on the execution threshold. It's the instant kill, man. And it's just, I mean, if you've ever seen Vierna in Gear Raid 1, you know her powers, but I don't want to limit her to just that area because she's absolutely incredible. Anywhere you need a mage, anywhere you need magic damage, okay? Vierna is just in a class of her own, or maybe with 1 or 2 others. Shout outs here, a lot of shout outs to, you know, Morrigan's amazing, Zealous is amazing, Cerberus is really fun, Lasir is useful in situations, but that's all I have for the Cursed Cult. Moving on to the Infernal Blast. This is a good one, guys. We have Salkadins. I just pulled this dude, summoned this dude Oh my God, he's a monster. He is a monster. Let me know if you want to see a guide on him. He's a lord. There's 2 legendary lords in Infernal, and then there's Pyros for the epic heroes. So he's a lord. He has when Lord Salkadin's cast hell breaks loose, all faction allies gain penetration increase and deal 30% extra damage to elites and bosses for 10 seconds. That's pretty dang incredible. It's allowing everybody to ignore defense and magic resistance, you know, for a pretty decent amount of time. Add on to that, when attacking the same target deals basic attack deals damage. Each attack deals damage for 6% for 10 seconds, 10 times, and inflicts burning for 5 seconds on his talent, okay? He has the Pyro Blitz. Faction allies join forces to channel, okay, so it's essentially focus fire, right? It's a little bit different though. It doesn't work like Twin Fiend. It doesn't work like Pyros. It's all about him unleashing the damage. So it's a little bit different, but it doesn't matter. The result is kind of the same. It's insane. I kind of want to do a guide on him, but I haven't done any guides on the channel. I'm not sure if I want to do them on legendary lords, because they're just so hard to get. You know, speaking of hard to get legendary lords, Twin Fiend makes the list. I'll let my lovely editor Osama put the number count on the screen, because I'm all over the place in today's video.
Your wish is my command.
Twin Fiend is the ultimate guild boss destroyer, Infernal Team Lord. His ultimate does work. He has also penetration increase. He has a crit rate increase and a crit damage increase for 10 seconds on his Lord skill. Again, this is the other Infernal legendary Lord here. He works a lot, like, again, not really nice damage, just insanely. He has burning. He's a lot. He's a lot. He's probably one of the most wanted lords in the game. But the thing about him is he's just a beefed up version of Pyros, and a lot of you guys are probably familiar with Pyros, with that focus fire. Everybody kind of stops attacking, he channels everything, bolsters everything up, and then a massive swath of damage hits the guild boss or wherever our target is. Twin Fiend is just an OP, even more OP version of a Pyros, and you can use him in so many different areas. He's a beast in Void Rift. I mean, look at these scores: Gold Raid, Arena, Guild Boss, Tide, EXP, Faction Trials, you name it. Twin Fiend will definitely help you out. Zillu, still the best damage dealer out of all fighters, out of anybody, out of any hero in the game on an Infernal team against the guild boss. Nobody can out damage Zillu. And also, like Arrogance, she does target airborne units, right? So great stuff here. She's similar in some regards to Arrogance in a lot of regards, right? Only difference is the insane damage that she can put out on guild boss. This Will of Hegemony, her ultimate, it is just absolute terror, right? Wind triggers 300% extra damage and a larger range for 25 seconds, including burning for 5 seconds every time a hero attacks. The effect duration is increased by 1 second for every kill during the ultimate. Each attack launch deals extra true damage equal to 40% attack one time if the target's HP is higher than 80%, and charge energy after 5 seconds of not dealing damage increases damage by 5% per second, up to 25%. The charge energy will be consumed in 1 second, and the damage increase will end. Empress Might allows her to really take massive advantage of those channeling abilities, because she's not attacking, so her damage goes up, and you just put it all together. She's got some absolute insane second to none burst damage out there, and again, can be useful in every area of the game. Again, it attacks air, and much more. All right, moving on. Setrum, of course, the big machine, the big fella, makes the list. This dude's amazing as well. He's got the burst damage. He's my favorite shield popper of the guild boss. Each basic attack launch has a 20% chance of unleashing fists, smashing the target and dealing 140% damage, inflicting the target with stun. He's got stun in his kit as well. The fewer the targets in range, the higher the extra damage goes up. And of course, he's got the fortress stance. This does the most insane burst damage. The downside is he does get overloaded, where he kind of stops attacking for a little bit, but it does some of the most insane burst damage in the game in fortress stance, maybe the most. It's just absolutely, Setrum's one of the best. He's just one of the best, because I'm talking about him right now mainly as it pertains to guild boss. He's kind of expensive at 20 cost, but it's so worth it with this dude. Guild boss is amazing, but Gear Raid 3, he's fantastic, right? Void Rift, he's awesome. I mean, anywhere that you need range, obscene range. Why does it look like his range is so limited there on the, oh, what does his skin look like? Whoa, I don't have it, but that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. That should give you like no overlord ability because he's so frozen, right? Okay, Cetra makes the list. Hex, press the hell out of me, man. Infernal, so he fits right in those infernal teams in all the top guild boss teams in the world in terms of damage. He's a marksman that deals magic damage, which is really handy in a lot of situations where you need magic damage from a cheap 12 cost marksman. If you can get him A1'd, I should say, and again, very hard to do, but if you can, he has, when he's pulling his cards with different effects, he can draw the Fool. The Fool deals 500% damage 3 times and inflicts 75% slow and burning for 5 seconds. That's freaking incredible. And he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger as everybody else in this game, the more that we awaken him. Hex is just absolutely one of the best of the best of the best. All right, next up is going to be, of course, Silas. Silas, man. Oh, he's different than like a Hatsu and a Hex. But I guess because of the cost, because of the marksman, I put him in kind of that Mount Rushmore of marksmen in the game. Incredibly, incredibly good. He has this soul sniping ability. He's one of the best. No, he's the best single target damage dealers in the game for a wide variety of content. Getting him is similar to a lot of the heroes that we talk about, right? In today's video, they're all amazing. He's a piercer who can just absolutely decimate anybody. You put him on the battlefield and you're like, oh, all it takes is to pull this dude. You're like, this is what people were talking about, right? This soul sniping, damage increases by 60% on Shadow Cloak. Each attack becomes soul sniping. What is soul sniping? It's 140% damage that ignores 50% of the target's defense. And ignoring defense in this game, you've probably picked this up throughout all the heroes that we've already spoken about. That is just next level in terms of the effect that it can have, in terms of the damage output that it can have, to be more acute about it. All right, moving on here, guys. Of course, we have Comet. Comet, man. I said there was a trio of top mages in the game. It's Comet, it's Vierna. I mean, but the new arbiters, though, where do you put them in the mix? I don't know. Maybe there's a big 5 now instead of a big 3. Either way, Comet is amazing. He's kind of like, he does the damage similar to a Vierna in some situations, right? He has 2 enemies on his basic. On Obliteration Strike, his ultimate deals 400% extra high damage to enemies who have not been attacked, which is handy to have, especially in the arena, right? Festering Curse, though, the difference on Comet and Vierna is, Vierna's ultimate is like this, boom, execution. Right? He has execution as well, but his ultimate lasts a lot longer, 20 seconds when booked up. So it's just this consistent, big, continuous damage from Comet. So a little bit different there. You can say this about most heroes in the game, but when you book up Comet, I mean, you're looking at, you know, a lot extra damage, you know, because I ran him unskilled for a while, like a lot of heroes. I just wanted to put it out there because sometimes you might wonder, like, dude, my Comet's not doing that damage. And I hate to say it because it's so hard to find these stupid skill crystals in this game, but it's worth spending on Comet. And Borus, for example. Borus, to me, is my favorite mage in the game. He eclipsed Comet and Vierna for me. He has this massive AoE freeze, but more importantly, he has the most insane damage that I have personally unlocked on my account. He's been the biggest difference maker on my account. He also has anti-healing, so Gear Raid 1, Gear Raid 2, heck, even Gear Raid 3, this guy, and anywhere in the game that you need freeze, control, damage, anti-healing, anything, he's got it. His damage is absolutely insane. And that's what I wasn't ready for. I saw all the freeze synergy. His talent is when attacking, there's a 10% chance of inflicting freeze, which is awesome, right? 3 seconds on that freeze too, which is a really good freeze. And I thought, okay, control, maybe like an AI legendary version. No. Like Vierna, you know, with a lot of freeze and more. That's what this dude is. He's insane. All right, guys, we've been a little bit light on the defenders, but Gon is gonna make the list. Shout out to Brokir, shout out to Torador, shout out to King Hars, all of these defenders that I haven't included on the list. It's not a knock on them by any stretch of the imagination. It's just I can't include everybody, right? And the truth is, there's a lot of really freaking good epic defenders in this game, you know? So the Barons and the Ologs and all those, you know, they make it so, at least to me, is not as necessary to have the elite defenders as it is maybe some other classes, but you can tell me if you disagree in the comments below. I'd love to hear differing opinions. He's a lord, so yeah, he ought to be good. He's also a chaotic lord, so one of the hardest lords to get in the game, and he is just absolutely freaking amazing. Triggers when HP drops below 30%. He is taking damage because he's a chaotic lord after all, but he can tank, and he has this ability on his ultimate, increases block by 3 and grants a physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction to all allies in range. So on this battle cry, he can not only be a capable blocker, the best in the game, right? I mean, we get a 6 block, and then you can pick up Olog's Wall, go 7 block. It's insane against swarms. But also, he's buffing everybody, and he's dealing tons of damage. You're getting the trifecta when you talk about Gon, right? He's definitely my most wanted defender. All right, I forgot 2 dudes. I just kind of went through the list. Number 19 and number 20, Ajax. Ajax has burning. He has this insane range. He costs a lot. It's the only drawback, but he's got AoE on his basic, right? He's got burning on his ultimate, very, very effective burn there. And then he has, when any enemy approaches within 2 tiles of this hero, inflicts 10% magic reduction on them. So he's also a debuffer, right? I really love, on his basic, by the way, the AoE basic, he's bringing burning on the basic as well for 5 seconds, okay? 10% chance, albeit, but effective nonetheless, right? And he also has slow. Movement speed 25% for 5 seconds. So he's bringing a great combo of burn, a massive range, debuffing, slow. He really has, I wouldn't say he's elite at anything. You know, even as slow, it's not as effective as, say, a Maul, for example, right? But he's doing everything with an insane range, right? So to me, he has to make the list. All right, number 19 is Elowen, of course. I'm not gonna forget Elowen, don't worry, guys, don't worry. She's got an AoE heal, she's got the Summon the Wood Elf. The thing about the Wood Elf is this little dude, he costs 5 to play, so you have to actually play him if you don't have Elowen. But then you can heal anybody on the entire map, and you can do it at a time of your choosing. It's a very powerful ability on the Elf of the Forest passive, or auto passive. Grace of Nature dispels all debuffs on all allies in range and heals them per second. So she's a very capable healer, especially on her Grace of Nature ultimate. But then it all comes together with Rage Restoration. So she's a healer, a rage restorer, an out of bounds healer, or out of range healer as well as a dispeller or debuffer or cleanser, right? So she's bringing so much. Restores rage every 5 seconds for all allies equal to 1% of their rage caps. Really good. You can obviously get that up to 3% of their rage recovery, and you can also get that interval down as well. So she does it. I mean, again, I'll stop repeating myself, but she does it all. She does it all. All right, how did I miss my favorite fighter that I don't have? And number 20 is my most wanted fighter in the game is Salazar, right? Burst damage, bleed, yeah. I mean, he has bleed. Okay. By the way, already has bleed too, I spoke about earlier. But having a bleed for a guild boss, especially, but his burst damage for anywhere in the game, specifically arena, can be so annoying to go against if you don't have this dude. But boy, oh boy, having bleed on the basic just makes him one of the best damage dealers in the entire game. Moreover, a slashing blitz launches a blitz of 6 strikes randomly on all targets in range, each one dealing 220% damage, and the blast dealing 300% damage becomes immune to all damage in the skill, and then the skill guaranteed crit hits on targets with the bleed. All you need to know on this, on Salazar, is absolutely insane. Second to none for a fighter. Burst damage capable, this dude, plus bleed, especially for guild boss. So there it is, guys. That's my list of top 20 legendary heroes in the game. Let me know who I snubbed. Let me know who you disagree with that shouldn't be on the list. Would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.